Right, so since 2019, Blizzard's been kind of giving us multiple different versions of the game, such as Classic, BC, leading all the way up to MOP, Season of Discovery, Hardcore. There's been remixes, Anniversary Realms, and we're kind of just, it's been kind of just leading up to this point now where we've just been all kind of sitting there wondering ever since 2019, when will it end? Like, this is good. Like, I'll be honest, 2019 Classic was fucking amazing. It was awesome. I wish I played more of it. Maybe one time I'll actually. I want to sit down and make a video and actually talk about my experience with WoW because I've been newer. I'm younger than most of the WoW players that are currently playing the game, so I feel like I kind of offer a unique perspective. But anyways, though, but besides that point, I think we can all kind of agree that it's been fun. Like playing old classic, Burning Crusade classic, Wrath of the Lich King. Even I personally had a fuck ton of fun with Cataclysm. Mr. Pandaria, I won't lie. I mean, I really think they kind of fucked up with the timing of Mr. Pandaria along with retail. It was just kind of a bad time, and I won't lie. I kind of have my issues with Mr. Pandaria. I think it's just a worse version of retail. But besides that point, I know some people might disagree with that. I personally just didn't really like Mr. Pandaria so. But I do think people are enjoying it. People are obviously playing it. Same thing with, I had a lot of fun with Season Discovery. Hardcore is even fun, but it's always obviously probably one of the most popular versions of the game that's kind of come around. I mean, I would arguably say that it's probably easily the most popular game past like few years at the very least. And we've also started getting these new things such as the remixes. We had Miss Pandaria remix, and we've also had Legion, which I know is technically just a branch of retail, but I mean, you could also argue to say Season of Discovery and MOP and all of that's been just branches of Classic. So I'm going to kind of give it its own thing as it being its own separate thing. But there's been a lot of even though this has been a good thing, I think all good things come with its repercussions, and I think we're starting to see that. And it's also been having the very obvious problem that players have been splintered. The player base has been splintered ever since from 2004 up until 2019. Everyone was playing the same game, and then Classic came out, and it's different. Not everyone's playing the same game. Now there's two versions of the game, and it's only gone on since then, splintering more and more and more. And like quite literally, there's like 6 different versions of World of Warcraft right now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And it kind of got me thinking of, I think everyone's kind of thought about this. When will this, when will it go too far? You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. No one here, I think, really wants like Warlords of Draenor Classic. No one, I don't think anyone really cares to have Legion Classic or anything like that. That's kind of ridiculous. That's kind of the closer to the modern version of the game that I think no one really cares to have. I mean, maybe further down the road there's opportunity for that, but I think most of us to kind of think that's when it's kind of too far. So this kind of holds philosophy that Blizzard's been kind of cooking up for a long time of giving players options, choices, and kind of rehashing what was once so great and kind of giving its time in the sun again. It's kind of been dwindling. I think we've all kind of known it for a long time now that it would be kind of coming to an end. And I think a lot of players are starting to feel very fatigued from it. I mean, it was very evident from everyone's reaction with the anniversary realms. I think there was maybe small amount of players that were like, yeah, we missed out on 2019 Classic, so maybe anniversary realms. I don't think the anniversary realms were bad per se. I think it definitely was kind of like, really, we're doing this again, all over. We're gonna start back. I mean, I assume that we're gonna start back with anniversary and go all the way up to the Wrath. And don't get me wrong, I plan on playing it a bit probably. For the rest of y'all, I don't know. Maybe tell me down in the comments. But it's kind of coming to a point where like, okay, where does this go? Where does this end? And also, I think that also raises a question of the game isn't growing or furthering in development, except for only in retail. And I think that's a problem with. I think it's a problem just because it leads to no actual growth of the game if a big source of the game is just rehashing the same stuff over and over and over again. I think it's very evident that Blizzard's current strategy has become stale, and even they've started to change. That a change is needed because there's no current path for the future. on its current road. Again, no one wants WoD Classic. And I think we're kind of getting their answer to that. And I also think that that Blizzard themselves is not totally blind to that fact. I think they've kind of known that they're kind of on a time crunch here, knowing that sooner or later it's going to run out. You can't just keep on re-releasing the same thing. And I mean, let's be honest, right as Cataclysm came out, every day they sent out the questionnaire. Same thing with Wrath. They sent out the questionnaire if the people wanted Cataclysm, and if some people asked if they wanted Mists of Pandaria. We haven't seen anything about that in the future. Like, I'm very curious to see where we go with Classic in the future. I know they've hinted at Classic Plus. I'm pretty sure as of right now, Classic is kind of not dead, but I think along the lines of the development cycle, we probably won't see anything from Classic for at least another year, maybe 2 years, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of at where it's at, except for Anniversary Realms. But I think they did something really interesting, and that was kind of answered when we got the Midnight Alpha. And I think this is kind of a stretch slash a theory of mine, but I think Blizzard is intending to answer this problem with Midnight. I think everything we've seen so far with Midnight's class design, with what they're doing with add-ons and kind of cutting that out combat add-ons and making the game overall more approachable, easier for new players to understand. I do also want to say this. I think that's not only just for new players. I think that's for old players that they feel like retail has kind of outpaced them. I think a lot of people have felt like retail's been outpacing its player base. I think a lot of people have been struggling to keep up with it. I mean, do you know how many people you ever? I'll say this: go onto your server right now in retail and look up how many mythic runs are going on for raids. Like hardly any. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe maximum on peak times, it's maybe 10 raids going on at once. But for the most part, it's maybe most times going anywhere between 3 to 5, maybe 6. It's very rare to see Mythic runs. And I'll even say this, I think Mythic Plus is kind of starting to... I think a lot of people are running Mythic Plus. I still enjoy Mythic Plus. I still like playing Mythic Plus. But I do think if we continue down the route that they've been currently doing and just adding on and adding on and adding on, we're going to kind of get to a point where, you know, people are just going to feel kind of outpaced by it. So I think Midnight, I think they're trying to do this thing with add-ons and the class design to kind of bring back players back to a similar state of what it was, what the game was, and also offer something what it could be. Does that make sense? So basically, I think the new class design is kind of taking what the game is now, keeping it, simplifying it down, but also offering a new route for the game to grow. And I think I don't think they, and you know, what I think they were doing for the longest time was just sometimes they would simplify the game and adding complexities later on. But right now, I really think they might be trying to simplify the game, but maybe adding further complexities and different routes in areas of the game. And that's what I'm hoping for. And that's what kind of leads me to want to say, and this is highly theoretical, I think the future of the game is not so much going to be the complexity of your class. I think they're always going to try to make sure the class part of the game is fun, but that is it. It's fun. It's moderately challenging, but it's not a big portion of the game that it is now. A big portion of the game right now is mastering how to play your class, and I think that's important, but I think that can be done with a lot of just simplistic class design. And I think that's kind of the route they're going with right now, of just making you're playing your class fun, but not the actual challenge of the game, which it is currently right now. I think a lot of the future of the game is going to be encounters, how raid bosses are going to be. I think raid bosses are going to start getting a lot more intricate. And also I think the dungeons will start getting more intricate, hopefully in a way that, you know, they're not doing add-ons, hopefully in a way that, you know, will not require stupid cheesy routes. Besides the point, that's kind of something that I'm just theoretically thinking. I think that's how they're going to grow the game. I still think my biggest note on that is I really think they got to lock down questing. I really think questing right now is in a really fucking bad state. Like, I don't know about y'all. I think questing is just so bad right now. It's terrible in retail. Like I said, I fucking love questing in classic, and I'll even say this. In mob it's okay. It's definitely starting to But I gotta say, I think questing in retail is just god awful. I think leveling up characters in retail is just terrible. And I always think they think it's because of the current quest that you have to do, rather than maybe just the fact that questing itself just sucks. It doesn't feel good. Your character doesn't feel. I'm gonna go off on a bit of a side tangent here. Your character in questing for retail doesn't feel like your character's growing. It just feels like it's in a stale point, waiting to getting to max level, and then you could actually grow your character. Well, if you play classic, for example, the moment you start the game, you feel like you're progressing your character. Fail. You know what I mean? Like every small little number climb, you feel. While retail, it's very much you don't. It just feels bad. It just feels really just. It's quick and fast, but you feel like you're doing nothing for 5 hours. You know what I mean? You feel like you're just doing busy work. Anyway, so that's my side tangent there. Kind of right now, my thinking right now is that Midnight Bite might be Blizzard's stepping stone for the future of the game and what will bring players back to retail. I really think that's what they're trying to do with this thing. I think with War Within, we got a lot of them saying, "Hey, this is going to be more of what you've been getting. We're growing a bit more, and if you're a fan of retail, of Dragonflight retail, you're gonna be a fan of the War Within because it's that but better." I think Midnight is kind of the thing that it's like they're telling the people, say this, if you're a fan of War Within, it's like, hey, you know what, this is still going to be, you're still going to be able to see the game. It's going to be the same game. You can tell it's the same game. The class design fundamentals are the same. But I also think they're trying to bridge a gap that has been created with players where a lot of them are left back in 2004, 2012, playing different versions of the game. And I really think what they're trying to do with Midnight is kind of bring them back up to retail and something that feels simplistic and something that they don't have to do hours of research to get back connected to. Because if you take a player from Classic and say this, they want to play retail again and say they've taken a break since 2019, 2020, whatever, or maybe just played off and on when the new expansions have come back. The idea of them actually sitting there and playing the game and getting back into the game on a serious level, fundamental level, would be damn near impossible. And then you take that and you apply that to new players. And again, I'm speaking from experience here. It's really freaking hard to get into this game. Like, it is probably the hardest game to get into across the board. I cannot think of a more difficult game to get into other than maybe like EVE Online, and that's a stretch. Wow, World of Warcraft has the worst new player experience. It is terrible. So I'm hoping that Midnight is just what they're using to be able to bring back older players, so then they can start attracting in new players. I think if they can't bring back the old players that know WoW a little bit, then I don't think they have much of a chance to bring in new players in the future. And like they've said, they want World of Warcraft to go on for another 20 years. Therefore, they have to bring in new players. That is the bottom line. They have to bring in new players. And if they can't even bring in old players, then how are they going to bring in new players? So real quick, just some of my final thoughts before I end this video. I just want to say, I think this is going to be an interesting next 5-6 months. And then I think even a more interesting next year or so. Because I think we're kind of stepping into a new stage of World of Warcraft. I know a lot of people say, Classic to Wrath is like World of Warcraft 1. Cataclysm to WoD was like the second game. I think we're entering in a new stage of World of Warcraft where we're kind of getting a new version of the game. I think this is going to be I think it's either going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible. And we're going to get an entire rework within like 6 months to a year. I am very hopeful on it being good. I am very excited. I'm very, very excited to actually get my hands. I've been applying for the alpha. I don't know if I'll be able to play it. I hope so. But I'm very excited for the beta. I plan to keep on following up with the alpha and maybe presenting some videos on news that I can get my hands on through this channel. But like I said, I think they're fine. I think Blizzard, I like what they're doing. I at least like, no matter what comes out of it, I at least like where their headspace is at for the game. It feels like they're in a headspace where the game wants to grow at the very least and not just keep on feeding off the same player base that has been kind of just, I guess you can say, used and abused for the past 20 years. I feel like this is finally them saying, hey, we want to reach out to new audiences while also satisfying the audiences that we currently have. So that at the very least is keeping me hopeful for the future of World of Warcraft. Other than that, guys, I just wanted to kind of talk about this. This has been kind of on my head. I want to keep on coming out with YouTube videos like this, discussionary videos. I won't lie, my friends and girlfriend cannot stand me rattling about this, so I kind of plan on using this as my way of getting out there. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Fuck yeah. Peace out, boys.